Ever since the 90s, European developers are known for making some of the best RPGs, from Piranha Bytes with the Gothic franchise to CD Projekt Red with The Witcher and Cyberpunk 2077, and most recently Sandfall with Clair Obscur Expedition 33. And in between all of these great games, a small Czech studio built up another classic of the RPG scene. Warhorse Studios released Kingdom Come Deliverance in 2018, with its sequel Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 being released in 2025. And in today's episode, we are taking a look at the first Kingdom Come Deliverance. We will be playing the upgraded PS5 version that came out earlier this year. Hi, I'm Nik Von Crait, and welcome to the Best RPG. Kingdom Come Deliverance is probably one of the most unique takes on a medieval setting that we have had in the last 15 years, since it ditches all of the common fantasy elements like magic, dragon, elves, goblins that we've seen in most big RPGs, and instead KCD focuses on a grounded and realistic medieval story and setting. Unlike most video games, you also start off as a nobody in this game. You're not the hero who saves the world, you're no chosen one, you are just Henry, the son of a blacksmith, and that makes the story of the game so refreshing compared to the other games we looked at in this series. Another fun fact about the game is that in the German version of the game, Henry's name was actually changed to Heinrich, which confused me since I only found out about it while trying the sequel on Steam, and since my language was set to German, everyone referred to him as Heinrich. Henry's story takes place in the Kingdom of Bohemia, which used to be an actual place. It just doesn't exist how it did back in the day. Since the different parts now belong to Slovakia, Germany, Poland, and the Czech Republic, which is the reason that we also have a lot of different languages present in this game. One moment you will have someone speak in English, and out of nowhere a German will start insulting you from the side. Now, as a person who grew up in and visited some of these places, it made me more interested in the game, since it doesn't happen a lot in gaming. It's the same feeling as someone in the US would have if, let's say, they live in LA and get to play GTA 5 for the first time, and actually find their home or the area they live in. There's just something special about being able to check out a place that you know in real life in video game form. But enough about me, and back to Henry. His story begins in the year 1403 in the town of Skalitz after a long night. Henry gets woken up by his mother because he has to help his father to craft a sword for Lord Radzik, who's in charge of Skalitz. While crafting the sword, Lord Radzik is being visited by Sir Istvan Toth, a Hungarian nobleman. Upon finishing the work on the sword, the village of Skalitz gets attacked by an army of Cuman soldiers, led by the German Marquard von Aulitz. In the attack, a lot of people get killed, including Henry's parents, but Henry manages to escape on horseback, while the other survivors hide in the castle. He gets sent to Talmberg to inform Lord Divish of the attack on Skalitz and to prepare them for what's to come. Lord Divish takes Henry in and gives him a place to stay. During the first night there, a storm starts, and the attackers leave Skalitz to head for shelter, which leaves a window for Sir Radzik and the other survivors to escape. On their escape, they pass by Talmberg to inform them of the plan. The next morning, Sigismund's army arrives at Talmberg, but Sir Divish gets them to leave. Henry only has one thing on his mind in this moment though. That is the fact that he wants to properly bury his parents in Skalitz. So he makes a plan to escape Talmberg and goes off to Skalitz. It is here that he tries to bury his parents, but gets caught by a group of bandits that beat him up and take the sword that he made with his father, and the one he was supposed to give to Sir Radzik. Thanks to Teresa, Henry is still alive, since she takes him to Ratai, where the miller takes care of him until he is fit again. And that is the moment the game really starts. Now, this opening is a really good introduction to the game and its mechanics, as you get to learn a couple of things in Skalitz already, and like in most RPGs, you can pretty much get overpowered here. But this also brings me to my first two negative points. Since I played the game on PS5 with a controller, I thought the lockpicking minigame was one of the worst ones out there, and so annoying to control for me. It's between this game's lockpicking and Oblivion's lockpicking when it comes to the worst ones out of all of the games I've played. This led me to picking a total of one chest, and that was a chest in Talmberg to get some armor. I always went around lockpicking by doing some other shenanigans, but at the same time it's amazing that through creativity you can manage to bypass some trapdoors, or chests. Now, probably one of the most controversial aspects of the game is the combat, since it isn't your typical combat where you just slash your sword until the enemy falls down. In this game, you actually pick from which side you attack with your sword and have to watch for the enemy's blade, since he can easily parry or block your attack. So you have to be slow and precise instead of just flailing away at enemies. The problems come in when you fight multiple enemies, since when you get close to an enemy, you will automatically lock onto an enemy. When you have 3 or more enemies, the lock-on just completely loses its mind and you lose track of where you are. It just becomes a mess, and it happens too often, especially in some of the big battles towards the end of the game. You also need to train up your sword fighting skills to become better and to learn new moves, like being able to parry and counter attack the enemy. This is a system really reminiscent of Gothic and can be a deal breaker for a lot of people. For me personally, it got really frustrating, but I managed to get through it, and towards the end, one-on-one fights weren't a problem anymore. On the other side, I really enjoyed the stealth mechanics of the game, since they have a nice little stealth kill move, and depending on what you wear, it gets harder for enemies to actually spot you. Let's talk about how you level up in this game next. So you level up your skills by using them. If you use your shield while fighting, you level up your defense. If you use your sword, you level up the warfare and strength stat, and so on and so forth. I do actually like this system in video games because it makes you good at the things you like to use, and at the same time you can also exploit the systems easily. Now, like any open world game, you need something to traverse it on, and in this game it's Pebbles the horse. And like in most games, the horse controls in this game are not pleasant, and I truly prefer to go through the world on foot, since the horse is just janky. Now, speaking of traveling through the world, in my opinion the map is just a bit too big and feels way too empty at times. The map only has 12 locations that you can visit, and they are all spread throughout the map, with the ones you have to visit the most being the furthest apart. You spend most of your time between Rattay and Sasau throughout the late game, and both of these locations are far apart, and traveling between them for quests can be annoying. Even though the scenery looks stunning, it still feels like a chore the 4th time you have to travel from one town to the other and back. I wish they would have scaled down the map just a little bit and taken out a town or two, since some of the towns don't really have that much going on anyways. All in all, the towns have a realistic medieval feel to them and help you get immersed in the world though. The game also comes with a lot of bugs and glitches and has crashed on me more times than I like. And with that comes our next problem. The game doesn't just let you save your game from the main menu. Well, technically it lets you do that, but you need an item which is called Savior Schnapps. Now, you can also save the game by exiting the game, but that means you would also have to load back into the game, and that can take a good bit. Now, your other option of saving the game is by laying down in a bed and sleeping, but for that you need to be near a bed that isn't occupied by an NPC. My worst loss was probably when I was doing some stuff around Rattay. I talked to a bunch of the NPCs, made some trades with the merchants around town, and didn't save because why should I? I wasn't doing anything dangerous that could get me killed. And then I went up to the blacksmith's grindstone to sharpen my weapon, and boom, the game froze. And the last 30 minutes of gameplay were just gone. Stuff like that just piles up and makes Kingdom Come Deliverance really annoying to play through. But you can still see the potential that the game has and will reach with its sequel, which was many people's game of the year in 2025. Now let's talk about the final piece of the game, which is the rest of the story, and this part will contain some spoilers for the rest of the story, so if you don't want to be spoiled, come back after playing the game or just skip to my final verdict right away. So we find ourselves back in Rattay, and from this point Henry's main goals are getting revenge on his parents' killers and getting back his sword. In Rattay he also runs into Sir Hans, who is like a rival at first but turns into his friend throughout the story, and to me is one of the most interesting characters in the game. It's nice to see his evolution from a douchebag that likes to get rowdy and who's next in line to rule Rattay to a capable soldier in our fight against Sigismund's army who can still be a douche at times. The main quest consists of the town of Neuhof being attacked by bandits and you having to figure out what happened there and trying to find the bandits. Then you go after the people who are faking coins, and it turns out it's all part of the same evil scheme. So you take out one of the camps of the bandits before you then join the bandits to infiltrate their camps, and it is here where you run into Istvan Toth again, who is actually the leader of the army, and since he remembers you, he takes you as a prisoner and tortures you. Istvan also informs Henry that he isn't just the blacksmith's son, but actually the son of Sir Radzig, which I didn't find the most devastating plot twist, but it wasn't bad either, since it creates a better dynamic between Radzig and Henry, and I do like the character moments between these two more after Henry finds out about his dad. So after breaking out of the bandit camp with the help of another bandit, once you get out of the bandit life, you get back and start an attack on the camp, but Istvan is already ahead of us and takes over Townburg. In the battle, he takes Radzig and the wife of Sir Divish as hostages. And here's the part that kinda took me out of the game, since once you start the battle at the bandit camp, it's action set piece after action set piece, and then you can't attack Townburg, so you have to go back, you have to set up camp again, and this just feels like hitting the brakes while going full speed. Because now the game wants you to go to all of the different towns to ask for beer that the soldiers can drink and hunt a bunch of meat that they can eat. Oh yeah, and maybe find a priest to help us. And yeah, you can also convince this one guy to help us build a trebuchet so we can attack Townburg. So after getting everything ready, you go to Townburg and get Sir Istvan to give up the hostages, but he wants to keep Sir Radzig as protection so that we don't attack him, and he will let him free in Skalitz. So we decide to go through with the deal and ride after him with Hans to find Sir Radzig. And it is there that we get another nice father and son moment with Radzig and Henry. And then out of nowhere the credits roll, which surprised me since we didn't beat the big bad guy. Sure, we saved our people, but still, the villain gets away and that is the end. It felt kind of rushed and out of nowhere and not that satisfying. But have no fear, after the credits we actually have an epilogue that sets up the sequel, as you meet up with Margrave Jobst and you and Hans get the job to deliver a letter, and that is the setup for the sequel, as the game truly ends on you riding into the sunset. I wasn't the biggest fan of how they did the ending to this game. I think the credits could have waited until the very end, and it didn't really need the ride to the edge of the map with Hans. I would have preferred if we just got it as a final goodbye cutscene to the game. But that just shows the game's biggest flaw again, and that is the pacing throughout the game's story. It can be such a stop and go story, and if I'm being honest, I did struggle with being invested in the story of the game. I have to mention that I really enjoyed the moments between the characters though, like when you're riding from town to town with someone, or the interactions between Henry and Hans during their adventures. This game manages to make every character have a personality of their own, even though some of the character designs repeat over and over again, which can be confusing. Kingdom Come Deliverance to me tried a lot, and it did do a lot of things well, but the map being too big, the combat being a bit janky at times, the struggle with saving the game, the abundance of lags, performance issues and crashes made me enjoy the game a lot less. On the other side, I love the leveling system. I think some of the characters are really well written. The stealth feels satisfying, the dialogue options are really nice, especially if you have the right skills, and the game can be really stunning in times, and they made it feel like a real medieval simulation. As I said earlier, to me this game has potential, and I've seen so much praise for the sequel that I really want to check that out soon. But when it comes to Kingdom Come Deliverance 1, for me the game is a 3 out of 5 because all of the mentioned reasons. It's not a bad game, it just wasn't fully polished and could have been worked on a bit more to get it to the next level. And we will hopefully see that when we get to the game's sequel. Let me know what you guys think of Kingdom Come Deliverance 1 in the comments below, and let me also know how you feel about this video format with a shorter recap of the story. And if you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button if you want to continue following me on my journey to finding my favorite RPG of all time. And I will see you in the next episode of The Best RPG. Until then, have a beautiful rest of your day, a good night, whatever time it is for you guys. And I'll see you on the next one. Peace out.